Today we got a story of a kid who pulls the fire alarm in school to avoid taking a test. And yes, karma eventually does catch up with them. Subscribe if you're new, sit back, relax, and let's just jump right into the story. So I'm going to call this the subscriber who submitted this story to me, I'm going to call him Jason. And Jason was in the 8th grade, and it was coming around to that time of the year where they had a really massive midterm exam in this class. And this midterm exam, it covered a lot of material. It was notoriously difficult. Like when he was in 7th grade, he had a few friends that were in the 8th grade, and they were like, Jason, when you get to the 8th grade, man, just prepare for this test. It's going to whop you if you don't. All I'm saying is this is a really big deal. So Jason also had a friend, and we're going to call this friend Ben. And Ben and Jason committed to studying together or kind of getting through this together earlier in the year. And 2 weeks before the massive exam happened, Jason, hit up Ben and was like, hey, man, do you want to come over? I think we should start studying. And Ben was like, bro, the test is 2 weeks away. Like, that's so far away. We don't even have to worry about it till a lot later. We're totally good. I'll come over, but let's just play some games. So sure enough, right, Ben comes over to Jason's house, and they're playing some Minecraft on the Xbox or whatever. And Jason kind of starts talking to Ben, being like, hey, man, I know the massive test is 2 weeks away, but do you remember those kids we were friends with who are in 9th grade now? Do you remember last year how they told us we should really spend a long time studying for this exam? And, Ben was like, bro, I know, and don't worry, we're going to kill the exam. We're going to absolutely crush it. We just don't need to study months in advance. And Jason's like, well, it is 2 weeks away. We could just spend a little bit each day and then be totally ready before the exam and not be stressed out at all. I feel like that's a better idea than cramming. And Ben's like, bro, I got a study guide. I got a plan. Don't even worry about it. Just focus on the game. And Jason kind of made the mistake of putting all of his eggs in one basket and completely trusted Ben here, because Ben was like, I have a plan. And 1 week passes. So now it is 1 week until the massive exam. And Jason, once again, calls up his friend Ben, is like, bro, I think we should start studying. We're a week out. We can divide the topics into the 7 days we have. And Ben's like, bro, no, we're not studying. Trust me, I got a plan. We'll be totally fine. Come over to my house. I got a new trampoline or something. Do you want to come over and mess around on it? And Jason was thinking to himself, well, maybe I should start studying on my own just in case Ben, his master plan isn't actually as great as we all think. But Jason was also like, but a new trampoline sounds like a lot of fun. So Jason goes over to Ben's house, and sure enough, it's a pretty fun trampoline. Now it is 3 days before the massive exam. And Jason is starting to talk to some other friends he has in the class. So we're going to call this guy Clyde. I'm not going to have to remember that name later, thankfully, because I'll mix it up. But basically, Clyde is in Jason and Ben's class. And so Jason goes up to him one day at lunch, sits down, and says, hey, Clyde, how's it going? And Clyde's like, pretty good, man, but it'll be better when this test is over. And Jason's like, so, have you started studying? And Clyde looks at Jason with this kind of funny look. He's like, yeah, I started 2 weeks ago. Dude, we have so much material we have to cover. And Jason kind of just feels a bit of a pit in his stomach. He's like, yeah, I started studying a week ago. So not as long as you, but I've been studying, which is a total lie, but he just felt a little bad. And Clyde's like, man, I've been studying for the last 2 weeks and I got the next 3 days too, but I still don't know how I feel about this test. I don't know how I'm feeling about it. I don't know, man, it's so much. I'm kind of stressing out. And just the fact that, Clyde, who's been studying for 2 weeks and the next 3 days is stressing out, kind of made Jason extra stress out because, no, he's not been studying for the last 2 weeks or 1 week because he's not been studying at all. And now he only has 3 days. So afterwards, Jason calls up Ben and said, Ben, we need to start studying. The massive test is literally in 3 days. We need to do something. And Ben's like, relax. I got a really good plan. And Jason's like, no, man, I'm coming over. We're starting today. And Ben's like, fine, whatever. You don't want to have fun anymore. And Jason's like, well, I'll have plenty of fun after this test. So sure enough, Jason goes over and he goes to Ben. And Ben's like, oh, what's good, man? And Jason's like, well, I guess I'm fine, but let's begin. What's your plan? And Ben's like, so, about the plan. The plan is in the early stages. And Jason then realizes that Ben does not have a plan, and Ben never had a plan. And Jason's like, bro, so you have nothing? And Ben's like, well, I wouldn't say nothing. I would just say I have the outline of what could be a plan in the future. And Jason's like, dude, oh my God. I was talking to everyone else, Clyde, he's been studying for the last 2 weeks. And Ben's like, bro, Clyde is such a nerd. He's going to do fine anyways. We don't have to get 110%, man. We just got to do okay. And Jason's like, bro, but the test, we just got to start looking into it right now. And Ben's like, dude, we have the next 72 hours. We'll be okay. Look, I just got a new game on the Xbox. Do you want to hop on and play it? And this is where Jason made another fatal mistake, and he gave in and he said yes. So now the next day comes around, 48 hours. Jason says, all right, I'm going to start doing this myself. So he gets out the work, he gets out the textbook, and he starts looking at all of the material he has to cover. And he starts to realize that he's not going to be able to study all of this appropriately before the exam. He's not going to be able to do this all correctly. And Ben actually calls him. Remember, Jason's been calling Ben every single time of the week. But this time, Ben calls Jason, and Jason picks up the phone, and he hears Ben, who sounds a little panicked. And Ben's like, bro, I just opened up the textbook. There's so much. I totally forgot about all this stuff. There's so much. I don't think we're going to be able to do this in the last 2 days. And Jason is like, bro, that's why I said we should have done this 2 weeks ago. And Ben's like, dude, I know I was wrong, but there's nothing we can do about that. We just have to figure out what we're going to do. And Jason's like, well, I probably won't be sleeping that much, but I think I'll be able to divide this up properly. I'll look up some really good study techniques. I'll make flashcards. And Ben's like, bro, you do that. I'm coming up with my own plan. And Jason had no idea what Ben meant by coming up with his own plan. But sure enough, let's just fast forward to the day of the test. Jason felt comfortable with about half the material, and the other half the material he did not feel comfortable at all. He had briefly gone over everything, hoping that he would at least be somewhat familiar, but he felt really shaky with about half the test material. He felt like he was probably going to do okay, but that there was a chance that he was not going to do okay. And it's just a terrible feeling going into a test, knowing that there's a chance that you're not going to do okay at all. Anyways, he gets there in the day of the test, and he sees Ben, and he's like, bro, I hope you've been studying well. Like, I hope you have a good plan or something. And Ben's like, bro, I didn't study at all. And Jason's like, dude, you're going to fail. And Ben's like, no, I spent my time coming up with a master plan, a perfect plan that will not fail, and you will thank me later. And Jason's like, can I know what the plan is? Like, I'm so confused. And Ben's like, no, you'll see. So anyways, they eventually get to the test site, and, they sit down, and it's like kind of like that standardized test environment, which is super stressful and scary. And they're sitting down, and the teacher's going around handing out the exams. And, Jason starts opening it up immediately, looks through the questions. Because one thing I tend to do is I try and read, if I know that I have a decent amount of time to do it, which a lot of times they'll give like good amount of extra time, than you actually need to fulfill the test requirements. I'll look through the questions and I'll kind of get a sense of what's there. And Jason was like, oh my God, I don't get most of these questions. I'm going to have to do a 1 out of 4 odds on like a third, on like 2/3 of these questions. I'm completely screwed. Jason is completely freaking out. And that's when he hears the fire alarm go off. And Jason's like, oh my God, thank God. I now know the questions. I can get out of here. This is perfect. Like, such a random coincidence. Jason doesn't think anything of Ben and his secret plan, right? He doesn't even make that connection at all. So Jason, the teacher's like, all right, class, single file lines, let's get out of here. So they get out, they get into the line, they walk out, and Jason is right behind, Jason's looking around, and he doesn't see Ben. And he remembers, oh, Ben went to the bathroom. Like, oh, I hope he gets out safe. Like, Jason started worrying about his friend. So they're outside in front of the school, all in lines, all like behind like the teachers' classes, and all the teachers are taking attendance. And Jason's teacher is like, where's Ben? Like, he went to go to the bathroom. Where did he go? And that's when they see Ben exit like the front of the door, and the teacher's like, Ben, come over here quickly. So anyways, Ben walks over, all kind of smug and confident, and she's like, because at this point, right, she let him go to the bathroom. She can't call him out or anything. And sure enough, Ben gets in line right behind Jason. And Jason's like, dude, the craziest thing just happened. Can you imagine the luck that we have that the fire alarm went off during that test we weren't prepared for? And that's when Ben looked at him and just smiled. And Jason just had once again, he just got this pit in his stomach. And he's just like, no. And Jason nods his head. And he's like, dude, no, dude, you can't do that. And Ben's like, what? We needed more time. And I got us more time. Don't even worry about it, man. Like, they won't have any idea. And that's when, all of a sudden, Jason looks up and the principal is walking out with these like aviator sunglasses or whatever. And the fire department's behind him and they're going around and they're just like, it's like this energy. And all of a sudden, Jason is feeling really uncomfortable. He's like, man, they're going to find out. And Ben's like, bro, chill out. They're not going to find out. And that's like, they wait there for like 20, 25 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden, right, the principal walks over to the line that Jason and Ben are in. And he looks at Ben. He's like, Ben, I'm going to need you to come with me. And that's when Ben's face completely drops. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment fire down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart as many comments as I can that say that to say thank you. And also, if you want to support the channel, binge watch videos, like just watch a bunch of videos in one sitting. And please comment down below just telling me, oh, I've watched 5 videos, or I was playing Minecraft while I was watching your videos. I really do appreciate it, and I just want to know who's doing it so I can say thank you, maybe leave a heart, maybe reply. Anyways, let's get back to the story, as it's pretty interesting right now. So remember what just happened. Jason and Ben are in line, and Jason realizes that Ben pulled the fire alarm to get out of this massive test. And Ben is pretty confident that he'll be totally fine. But about 20-30 minutes later, the principal walks over, and he looks at Ben, and he says, come with me. So Jason watches as Ben walks away, completely defeated. Like, you can just tell in the way that he's moving that this man is defeated. He knows he's a dead man walking at this point. So sure enough, right, they're still like looking around and they're making sure that there's no actual fire. But then the teacher gets the all clear that they can return to their tests. And the unfortunate part, right, is that they're not going to reschedule the tests. The teacher kind of just said, all right, well, we have enough time. We're just going to keep pushing with it. The school made some adjustments in the schedule that teachers would basically be able to recuperate that time. And yeah, so sure enough, they went back to the test. And Jason did not do so well at all. Jason pulled out and he barely passed the test, which, I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but Jason was a kid who was always shooting for A's and was comfortable with B's and maybe a C or so, but Jason almost failed this exam. It was a massive exam. It was a terrible experience, but not as bad of an experience as Ben had, because Jason, as school ends, Jason and Ben used to walk back to their houses because they always lived pretty close. And Jason was waiting for Ben, and he had to wait like another 20, 25 minutes. He was actually about to turn around and go home until he saw Ben walking out with like his face was drained of blood. It looks like he was just through like a mental beating, man. He walks out, and Jason's like, dude, what's happening? And Ben's like, man, they figured it out. They had cameras. They saw me pull it. Not only am I going to fail the exam, I'm also getting suspended for a couple days. Jason's like, bro, I'm so sorry. And Ben's like, dude, my mom knows now, and she was going crazy on the phone. Now I got to walk back. Jason's like, well, yes, you're going to have to deal with the wrath of your mom. But until we get there, enjoy the next 5 minutes, because those will be the next good minutes for the next couple weeks probably. So sure enough, Jason and Ben kind of walked into the sunset as they were both going back home to parents that were not going to be that happy. Moral of the story is, bro, just study for your exams, dude. It's not that hard.